Yep.
Hello, good evening.
People.
How are you?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
See you, Joe.
Yes.
Mr. Martin. Good. According you get to see him. I hope not. I always hope not. Here, thanks.
How are you?
I mean, I'm Brian. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You can grab a seat there, grab a seat up here, wherever you're comfortable.
I just, I would help that. I wouldn't know. They're gonna look, I guarantee you they'll look to, I got it. Go. We're going, Brian, right?
Yes,
I spoke to, what's your name again?
Michelle.
I spoke to Michelle, yes, nice to see you, nice to meet you.
Hey, you know, Ronald.
Right.
I'm
Ron.
right.
Pleasure to meet you. You paperwork too.
Ron gets to sit with the cool.
I'm the civil.
Yeah. Good. Hey, good, how are you?
Yeah, so I said, fuck that whole. I really do. I think maybe that's what you did. Interesting moment. You think it's something like that? Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that's great. But I remember saying that I'm picking up the hotel, all that stuff, my travel for that one day. I was like, it ain't worth.
I'll tell you right now, Andrew, I like the spreadsheet.
Okay.
That's right, I don't know what that is going for, but that's right up my alley, because you can sort the column.
It makes it easy.
Priorities and sort.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrible. And then, you know, you can share if it's, you know, if you have a platform or Google Docs or something, you can make it shareable. So
move down. So you
pop it and read only.
I thought that was your.
Whatever.
Yeah, I tend. Tablet, you can slide over. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just moved it down, so I think I just didn't have a chance to slide stuff over.
I didn't, and Andrew, Andy or Andrew?
You can call me Andy.
I didn't even bring the big consolidated list.
Okay.
I didn't think, we can talk about it, but I didn't think it was, I wanted you to have a chance to get your feet wet before we start talking about the details of all those things.
Yeah.
You know, those issues are gonna go away. So.
No worries. I have I printed out a copy of it, and I can put I can immerse it in. It should be the top one.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there it is. All right.
Yeah.
You know my glass. I thought maybe that was your sample.
Oh no, my samples gave two versions. It's the staple copy.
Perfect.
So, but there's a spreadsheet there as well.
Yeah, it is, man. Right.
It's good to see everybody. I feel like we were just here recently. Seems like it was recently. Yeah, a couple weeks. Much cooler out now as we move into fall.
I like that.
They feel that change in the seasons.
All right.
So far, so good. How about yourself?
What's wrong?
Do you get out to a lot of meetings or?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they just the one that.
Yeah, they usually send us the ones where they're far.
There you go. How far do you have to come from?
It's about an hour.
Oh,
Yeah, but-
yeah. Same here. Yeah.
I don't know if it's on here.
I think your office is off Rocky Point. It is, yeah. So I'm based out of Wesley Chapel, but yeah, our office.
Yeah, no, and I got you.
I was hoping to draft the contract.
Yep,
That's the dead giveaway, right?
Probably want to be talking about that, because I'm not sure how we.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, I have 5 o'clock. If you'd like, I'll go ahead and get started, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, this is the Eagle Point Community Development District Board meeting. Today is Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. We could start off with a roll call. I'll just go around the table, starting to my right. If you can state your name for the record, that way I can get used to everybody's name as well as our folks that listen to the recording.
William Hathaway.
Ron Berkowitz. Rabah Agabi.
Kevin Gagne.
Okay, and we also have an attendant.
Brian's Camarino, District Counsel from Appleton Reiss.
Okay, and
Schwarz, District Engineer.
we also have.
Schwarz. Fiddleman.
Yeah, and again, I'm Andy Mendenhall, District Manager, and I'll note for the record, we have 2 residents currently. So we'll move into, actually, if you don't mind, just before we move into supervisor requests and audience comments, I just figured I'd give you kind of how I typically run meetings because it's your meeting. So if you don't like the way I run it, you just have to let me know. But typically, I'm pretty strict and straight on how we move through an agenda. My meetings are usually relatively quick. I try to keep them moving. I try to keep it strictly to business items, making decisions, and action items, setting up things that we're all going to do as we walk out of here. I do tend to lean towards encouraging not a heck of a lot of discussion. If we have a lot of discussion that we need, we can always obviously talk about that. But really, just like any city council or county board, you're here to make decisions. And the best we can do from my perspective, as well as your other professional staff, is we prepare you guys. So you walk in here and hopefully you don't need a heck of a lot of discussion, just kind of maybe discussion on disagreements and stuff like that. For resident comments, I usually, in order to be as fair as possible to your residents, I do keep track. I do 3 minutes for each resident, and I'm relatively strict with it. I'm fine to be the bad guy, so I can raise my hand when there's like 20 seconds left to give them the knowledge of that. The other thing that I encourage, and this is up to you, but I usually encourage the board members that when we're in resident comments, we accept all the comments first before we make any response. That way, one resident doesn't get 10 minutes, the next resident gets 2 minutes. And, at the end of all the comments, hopefully you board members, as well as us staff members, will go ahead and give responses, what we have answers to, that sort of thing. And we still try to stay out of a back and forth because, again, we want to make sure everybody feels like they've been heard in an equal manner. So that's it. I do tend to talk a little bit fast. So please just tell me to slow down. If I do talk too fast, I'm happy to do it. So all that being said, we'll move into resident comments. I see we have a couple, as I mentioned. So I'll just look if you have any comments at this time. And this is agenda related comments. And then towards the end of the meeting, we would go more towards general comments on actions of the board, that sort of thing. So I'll just kind of scan the crowd if you have a question at this time. All right, no questions at this time. I also see that listed here is supervisor requests. So I didn't know if our supervisors had anything here at the beginning of the meeting, agenda related, that you'd like to talk?
I have
Yes, sir.
request that probably we can talk about this in the third section, or we can get answers for it later. We're all aware here what happened a couple of months ago about especially accusations, false accusations toward board members using specific names. What kind of action we can take according to that, because it's definitely false accusations. Short-term actions that can happen soon or farther down the road. So
Yeah, so if there are false statements out there, I mean, that's definitely something that is in the district's interest to prevent and to stop. And, I know you guys have personal reputations as well. What exactly are the false statements that are being made?
well, so vendors quit. We have 3 vendors quit. The vendors quit. They didn't use any names. We had a couple of homeowners use my name, Kevin's name. I don't know where they get that information from. Even the vendors denied it 3 times a meeting, like, hey, we said what we said, we didn't use names. So that's where it is. And everything is.
And also, I sent to Michelle, I don't know if you got it or not, Michelle, right?
Yeah, Michelle.
Takes me a while.
You're fine.
So I don't know, she sent it to you and it's fine, you know, because I didn't know where this necessarily was gonna come up tonight, but I sent her 2 letters that were, so did you see them?
I briefly looked.
They were written by a resident, formally to the board, to our attorney and so on. I think they made some very strong statements and some undeniably false statements, to me specifically. And one of them to our vice chair. So yeah, that's, you know, that's the crux of the issue from where I stand. And those were things in writing and they were pushed out to the community as if they were true. They
Just
think
one
very
one
different.
comment on mine.
Yep.
This request here doesn't mean I'm doing it for myself or anybody else. This is preventing issues for any board members doing the future as well. It's gonna be us, it's gonna be somebody else down the road, you know?
Mhm.
I'm all about freedom of speech. I love that, but accusations and false statements is a problem.
Yeah. Well, you know, I agree. I mean, that's why we have defamation laws in place. You know, you're entitled to protect yourself. Are there, would you say that you've suffered any damages from this? Monetary damages? Has the district suffered any monetary damages?
Now it's just like, you know,
Just reputation.
yeah, that's, yeah, I'm still be honest with you, me personally, when I do something, even if it's wrong, I would say I did it. But I guess we're adults, we make decisions, you know, when you say something, you need to be responsible for what you say.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, I'm a licensed professional engineer over 20, closing around 30 years. And I have ethical standards to uphold. I have a company that I've been with for, you know, close to 30 years. And to come out and write and something that then is posted publicly, that certain actions I've taken constitute potential law breaking and unethical behavior and so on. Those things are more important to me than they might be to the average person because of my license and my livelihood. So I find it intolerable, especially when I know something is a lie put in writing, and the motive can only be somehow to intimidate or affect the way I do business here with my fellow board members in some way. So yeah. I mean, I'm glad Rabah brought it up. Wasn't something necessarily that I was willing to do or look into, but
So for false statements, I mean, the recourse is defamation, filing a defamation lawsuit. Now, from my experience, I know that filing defamation lawsuits can be very expensive, time consuming, and you don't always get the result that you want. So it's definitely something that we can discuss with the district and whether it's appropriate for the district to pursue something like that. At this time, I probably can't give you an ultimate opinion. I definitely want to dive in and see exactly what we can prove about the false statements and what exactly we can prove is false and then go from there. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, there are defamation laws in place for a reason. So there is recourse. It's just whether or not it's worth pursuing.
it's just that's kind of behavior coming from people that get no repercussions for it. Makes good people not want to serve on boards because they don't want the hassle. They don't want to worry about, their livelihood or.
I mean, the bare minimum, is we can come up with say a policy to prevent this kind of stuff from happening moving forward. Even from board members, from homeowners themselves, so.
Yeah.
Anyone want to say something?
No, I guess I do. In my thoughts were to help out with situations like this is to create roles for each board member, but I see that's a discussion item for, 5 on the agenda, so I'll let it go to there, but I think we should have roles, procedures and policies that call out specifics of what it is, we're required to do. Also, guidelines for what's acceptable and what's not, so whether it just say acceptable behavior, acceptable way we approach people, they approach us, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Just something there. I don't think it needs to be an act of Congress. I just think it needs to have some kind of guideline that's set up. So if we're gonna really get the 5 on assigned duties to each board member, I'll use that time at that point to discuss roles I think should be for myself at least. Others as well, of course, with Kevin and Rabah as chair and vice chair, what their opinions would be as well.
William.
I mean, I don't see any issue with having like a policy and stuff like that for that type of stuff, so.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so we will move to the next item on our agenda, which is the
I
landscape.
have
Oh,
one
yeah.
thing real quick.
Please go right ahead.
I think on Facebook, there's been the issue with the
Backyard.
yeah, well, it's actually CDD. I guess the guy's trying to sue or claim that he's got some legal grounds against us. But, yeah, there's been a lot of interaction that he's had with CDD. So, and his stuff was responded to timely. He fails to acknowledge that there's been a back and forth with GMS and him and, the board, and before it got brought to the board officially. So
Is he the one who posted the communication with you and me? That's the one?
did he post all of it? Because it seems somebody said all they saw was just, he sent an email out or saying his email, but never showed the, I don't know, 5 months of going back and forth.
What can you explain to them, like a summary of what's going on?
I think it's actually one of the items on this outstanding item list.
It is.
Is this Hilger erosion issue, I think?
There's that one and then quote backyard unquote drainage issues.
All right.
That key is backyard drainage issues,
So,
specifically.
so when it comes to this specific topic, do you guys want to handle it during the moment when I talk about it? Because I have more stuff to add to it too.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing on that one? All right. Yeah, because I didn't see it specifically on here. So no,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right.
But yeah, because
All right.
that's been an ongoing issue for a while. So
Yeah, and I think our company may have gotten contacted by the gentleman as well. So,
It's fine.
okay, we'll go through it. Yeah,
I'll address it anyway then.
fair enough. So we'll move into our staff reports. And first we have the engineer's report. So I'll go ahead and give the floor to Jeff for his time to speak to the board.
Well, it took a ride around before I got for the meeting, checked out some things. I can see, I guess you're in the middle of a new landscape person also. Looks like they had started working on uncovering those control structures, but they didn't do the last two. So it looks like, did you just get a bunch of rain?
No.
No. So it's holding water again back up in here. It's not a high level, but it's not draining. So they're going to have to finish.
So just so you know, it's the same company so far. It's the same.
Is it? Okay. They stopped work. It looks
And
like.
they didn't even unclog the drains.
No, they uncovered the first one,
Uh-huh.
but, and it was moving at that time, but that was several.
Yeah.
So
Month ago.
are you saying that them just taking the grates off is not really?
Well, they had, that structure, and then two over here on, I think it's wetland 24. And see, I've got a map for you. That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This is, Kevin and I worked on for
Sure.
landscaping, but it kind of shows you your system. So if you're looking back up in here, there's a structure. And I'm sorry, I did some structure here. All right, that pond drains, or this pond drains to this pond, and then there's a structure here that this wetland drains into, back into this pond. And then there's a weir, which is fine, but there's another structure here that's completely covered, and then the
When you
discharge.
say structure, are you saying like?
A big concrete structure in the ground.
Yeah,
We're talking about the size of these tables.
Talking about the drains itself?
Yeah, they're actual control structures, so they actually control the water level in all these ponds. And so that one's not able to drain because those aren't.
Is it owned by his house?
Yeah.
And the drain is by my house.
And it very well could be. That's why you're getting a lot of water in there. and it's staying there because it can't get out because it's still got and I wrote a report on it. That kind of goes to detail, that shows pictures. But it looks like they uncovered this one,
Yeah, that's the one like.
but they didn't uncover this or this.
Okay.
Okay.
All that
And
growth.
that's my house is right there. So that's what he's referring to.
Yeah,
Right here. Yeah, we know what we're talking about, that big
Yeah.
concrete thing there, which comes across, there's the lack of better terms, the tunnel that goes underneath all the way from here to
yeah,
here.
there's a,
You want to take?
there's a pipe here, yeah, so,
We gotta make sure that
Oh,
he is fully understanding.
yeah, and I was gonna send him the report.
Yeah.
So that, which
Yeah,
ones and
or
which.
show
So
Come,
that
come around and take a look at what the areas are.
he can work with our new lady
You got
to
one.
finish this
Sure.
job.
Either way.
Yeah, but we'll probably set up a time, so. All right, so let's turn it, this is, we're sitting right here.
Right.
All right, so there's this pond, I think it's 21. This is a wetland, it's pond 24, wetland. And then these should be look like just grassy, dry ponds, but they're full of weeds, thick, that's what we're talking about.
These are dry ponds.
This is wetland, these are wet, this is wet, but this is a flood control mitigation area. And it's supposed to be just grass, but it's got,
Yeah.
10, 15 years of growth in it.
They can't even.
It goes way back. Well, there's a structure here. And then there's an outfall structure here, and there's one here. They were completely overgrown with, years of growth and no water.
Well,
So the water from here goes into here, and then this is supposed to drain to here, and then it goes out
Well,
here.
there's a
This
big-
is all fluff.
is it where the big caliber trees are that you were talking about?
There's some big trees back here. This is all wetland. There's some trees in there, but it is not native and non-native species. There's cattails and there's all kinds of stuff. And it's thick. It's 10 years of growth.
Grows below.
Yeah, it's noxious.
Well, yeah, but I'm coming into the dry season, so.
Yeah, you can tell these things are holding water because it's not moving. And I saw standing water up in here.
Is there,
There shouldn't be if you haven't
Is
had
there-
big rains.
are they able to go in and mitigate this area?
Yes, these are even outside the buffer. Okay, this structure is way outside. This is your
It's not
buffer
like
here.
there'd be a water there when you can't.
No, not right now, but if you can, I've got a picture of it, but yeah, you can look down in there and it looks like they started digging on this one a little bit,
And
but you
yours-
can see water right at the surface.
One of them next to my house, so this is what we're gonna do, best way to do it, this landscaping company happens to the 20, they will have the new one. And when, as you said, it's gonna be dry season, we're gonna start working with those guys. Probably, if it's weed and stuff, they can put chemicals, they kill it first, and then they can, get rid of it, and have to maintain it moving forward, that's one of the options.
Well, if it's near a pond, you can only spray so close to a pond. So
And but worst case scenario is, heavy machinery.
The main thing is to jump on it.
Yeah, get it down.
your priorities are 24, 21 to begin with.
Yeah.
To begin with.
This right here, because this water does stage up high, so that's gonna cause your water table and everything up there, so it's gonna saturate fast. And then you won't get good drainage, especially if you don't have a
It's all green
slope.
now, so you can tell the water is.
In your write-up and summary, did you propose?
Well,
Yeah.
well, we already did that,
Yeah,
yeah.
he did. He
Okay.
did.
Can you get-
He did.
You did that to these guys, they bring,
No, I've gotta send that, I'll send all the reports that I sent
the
out,
reports that you gave to us and you gave us,
basically diagram how it works and
Yeah.
pictures and
We'll get that.
everything.
This issue is like almost 6 months, but it's not the decision.
But there's been a problem for you guys for some time. Yeah,
Yes, thank
well, this stuff's been there for many, many, many years. But long before you're,
Perfect.
Well, you have to
long
put
before you.
on an addendum to after the snow cleared out. They're gonna have a maintain those areas.
Yeah.
So
But I'll send that multi-report, even though this is, for landscaping
Yeah.
discussion.
Oh,
But this is gonna be, I guess, your landscape guys knowing they're being replaced.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's not a small job.
That's since
she's sure she does it right because I have other people.
Sponsoring the proposal, they did.
Let me,
I think that's just started on it. I would,
I'll email
they started, they were cleaning that one out. but it's still.
She might be on the previous one from,
That's as far as they went. They
from our.
did practice.
Take a picture of that. Is that your map?
Here, you have
Yeah, you want it?
Yeah, take it. There you go.
this one there.
It's yours.
Here, no, that one right there.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I'll send that to you.
Is this the one with the money?
No, this
that's
one's
the one there.
Yeah, fine. All right, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Email's not working.
Oh, and Jeff, I mean, what about those other areas? Do you ever get a chance to look at those other areas, the ones we were talking about where there were residents that complaining about standing water in the back bordering the CDD property? William was gonna identify, some of those areas for you and Rob was gonna identify.
Yeah, I haven't looked at those. I'm not sure exactly where you want to look. If they're anywhere on these systems, be that too, but if you send me exactly where the problems are, I'm gonna look at and see.
Yeah, well, I mean, we decided that, when the issue came up and it was talked about at a meeting,
Just send it off.
because William said he knew where some of the areas were, and Robin said he knew where some of the other ones were. I only have one address. It was decided that between then and now, William and Rob and you were going to coordinate separately, but not all in one chain because of the sunshine laws to find out where those areas were. So
You remember that never was done.
and then pull design plans, like you did, the plans you looked at already for that other erosion issue on the Hilger property.
Yeah.
That was the one where the water had blasted.
Yeah, it was something weird. They didn't finish that up right.
At the time, anyway, we were hoping to, and I'm sure the board still agrees, we were hoping to find out through your evaluation if it looked like it just wasn't designed to drain, or it wasn't constructed the way it was intended to be constructed. Even though we may or may not be able to go after anyone for it, we still kind of want to know the.
Yeah, we did that. That was one of the first things did right off the bat. So I sent a report for that also. I'll resend it.
Yeah, and we're good on the Hilger one. We're waiting, it's on the list here. We're waiting for proposals to fix the damage and the construction detail that we can give to you to.
The one thing is I don't
We're not
have,
about those other drainage issues.
the plans that I have, you can get a hold of Easy or Swift Mud plans, and they call that area back there it's a maintenance berm. They didn't grade it just right. It really kind of flat. But the area that was the low spot where it looks like the water was allowed to go into the creek was holding water, and then the ground cover, there's the landscaping that's out there is either dead or it's non-existent. And it's not a buffer, so you can get in there and plant it. It needs to be at least a decent sod, and they need to do probably a little bit of grading in there to make it work better, and maybe put some kind of armoring where the water is going to go out, which is where it's eroding right now. So all that water back there is working towards the center there, that one spot, because they got it, and the plans show a slight hump there. But it's got to be able to get over somewhere.
No.
But there's nothing there to protect it because it's all dead. It looks like a desert back there, like it went through there and just sprayed it.
Right.
And then didn't do anything with it because it can be sodded and landscaped. Because it's a maintenance access. As far as the landscape that's required to be there, if there were any, that's probably in the Manatee County proper somewhere. And I would have to get with them and request it, it'd take a little bit of time. The plans I do have Swift Mud, and I can get it online pretty easy.
Well, honestly, like no one's clamoring for that vegetation. It's just the damage, the gouge that the water has occurred and it has yet to be repaired and how it yet to be established. So as far as that particular property goes, Andy, that's on the list as Hilger.
Okay.
And where it was left off, and we may be just in a different place now, we can talk about it right now. Where it left off was that supposedly GMS had a proposal and a price to fix it.
Okay.
But I said, what are they gonna do? What's the scope? What's the construction detail? What are they doing to fix it? And they were going to give us that detail, which then we were gonna run by our engineer and get sign off that it was an appropriate solution for the outlet. And then we would decide on having the work done. That went where everything else from GMS went, nowhere.
Okay.
So the question is, do we take that approach again, where you look for someone, who suggests a fix there? Or now I'm talking myself around to maybe, do we just have Jeff work up a detail for us?
So
Can we find someone to do that?
I'm always going to suggest you have your engineer, Jeff, work up the detail, because if he puts specifications together, then I can go give it to a few people rather than get different people's thoughts on what the fix is. We've got one, we take it out to a couple people, get comparative pricing, and we know they're meeting to what the engineer is suggesting.
That's great. I think that's.
And I did, in the report I sent, I think, remember correctly, cut, pasted some of the details that are back there. There's several different plans, but I kind of figured out what they were doing. So we can look at that and massage it as necessary.
And then
somebody's gonna have to go in there and basically regrade, but they're gonna need to take all that, bad vegetation that's just sitting there dead.
Yeah.
And then there's also a big casing sitting out there in the open, just like they left that stuff there that was been there for a while. They should have took it out, cleaned that area up, but it's, I think people think it's a wetland or something, but according to the district, it's not. So you can drive through there. It's for
Yeah, and
access.
he's already determined from his research, now he has a report on this he can get to you as well, so you filled in, but
Yeah.
did from his research that it was not a protected, the area where the work needs to be done is also not protected, no permits required to fix, so
Okay.
that's another important thing that Jeff.
Because I first looked at it, it was first day here, and I'm looking at it like, well, this has got to be wetland. And then this is probably a buffer. And then I started doing the digging and research and dug up where the original plan showing that this is and has been approved by Switchside to be just strictly maintenance access. So that's to get back in there and do any cutting.
So we can redirect that, just if that's okay with the board, just like we were talking about. Jeff will get some specs together. We'll get it out to some contractors and get back some proposals.
This poor woman who reported this over a year ago, just after the big hurricane that we had. She's been diligently responding every month, asking what's going on. This is another one that went into the black hole with Mick Shepherd, the former field engineer, field manager. He had once told the board that he reviewed it and it was a non-issue. There's nothing that could be done about it. It was completely dead until I happened to go buy a nail gun from a retired gentleman. Lo and behold, it's Mr. Hilger, and he's showing me his pool in his backyard. And I'm admiring, his work as we're chatting away. And then I noticed this cavernous erosion thing in his backyard. And all of a sudden I click in my head. I said, is this the house that, you told the board there was an issue? And he's like, yeah, he told us it was nothing to do about it. And I took it back up.
Yeah.
And realized, that was false.
But we'll get on top of it.
Yeah, and it really is not that big of a deal, and it shouldn't take him this long to address. But
They're gonna need to, just gonna need to look at, put something out there. Otherwise, it's just gonna keep happening. If you don't armor it.
I'm afraid it's going to continue to regard.
And it will. It'll just eventually become a big hole out there.
Yeah, we've done tons of projects like this, erosion work over the years. Obviously Jeff has as well. There's many different solutions to how you can armor it or even put riprap and then sodding over top, depending on what the solution is. Easy fix. This should be something.
Yeah.
To
be done quickly. And since we're talking about drainage issue, you want to talk about this one right now? That one, the guy, that's the same drainage.
Yeah, the guy is 8756.
So what it is, they checked when the new landscaping started working, it was a rainy season, of course, there's a lot of water. So what means actually when you turn to wellness, so it's pond number 24, yours will. That's pond number 24. See this one right here?
Yes.
You have almost 15, I would say maybe between 10 and 15 homes, they have that kind of issue. But what we noticed that time is like when I was walking through those houses, the houses themselves have a draining issue.
Yeah.
And those houses, they were just built soon.
Is it real mushy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
What's going on, especially between the CDD property and those houses.
Yeah.
This is the property owner, that's his property, and then there is a gap and then out. So they didn't level it right when the water goes.
Oh,
in the
okay.
line. So, and the gentleman I saw, he was mad, he said he's gonna get his lawyer, he can feel free to get his lawyer, but you know, we have a time frame. It's not like we have a time frame.
Yeah.
We do things the right way. And if I'm not mistaken, that's what I was working me and Mick on it at the time. He said that the ponds probably they'll be under warranty for 3 years. If it's like those ponds, they're gonna be like they're under warranty for 3 years after the turnover. I don't know if that's correct or not. Yeah. there you go.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. No, it's,
Yeah.
we can find out. I mean,
That's the other thing. So, yeah, but the thing is, we cannot go fix something if it's going to continue happening through these homeowners, if, you know, they have a draining issue as well. So that's the other thing, you know?
Or
Yeah.
that's the area that I wanted you to look at. And William said he knew of some other ones besides the one on Woodless. So that's why I'm trying to put you
No, I think
guys
that's the
together.
other one.
It's
I think that, I think that's the only one. He's the only one that sent something in. I don't-
he's the only one who's talking about like all his line, like 10,
The same.
15 homes are the same.
And that drive.
He's heavy.
They're all on the lake.
Yeah. But
Sometimes I've heard of gutter issues
Mhm.
contributing to this factor. So have you within that wall?
I didn't pay attention to the gutters, but like the way the sod and the properly laid off
Yeah.
is definitely wrong.
yeah,
That's
because you can see where it's
Yeah,
stopped
the-
against it.
The
Yeah.
water sits right there and you,
Yeah.
you can feel the water.
So to make a long story short, we already talked about this. We already agreed to have Jeff look into that, or
Okay.
have the residents look at the design plans that he's already pulled, see if it's a grading failure, a design failure, and then, you know, come back with us with a grade report like he did before with just some recommendations so we can move forward.
Yeah.
That's what we.
And same thing. I mean, we'll take the same approach with all of these. Jeff uses his expertise, and then combination between us and him, we'll know contractors, we'll get bids and make it simple. Just
Yeah.
keep things moving.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's possible. All right. Jeff, did you have anything else?
I know I made this landscape map, I guess basically to get all your, do you all have picked a landscape map?
Yeah, thank you for that map. Yeah, that was really helpful. Yes, the same one.
That way, but to look at it, there is one area I've got clouded down there on this south end here. And then I think Kevin and I we're trying to figure out,
Did they go back here behind these houses?
because that it would be considered a buffer and it would be non-accessible as far as.
I know they stop literally right here.
Do they?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little
Yeah,
section.
so that makes good sense.
Yeah, basically.
So
Right.
I know.
No, what about the purple here? That's exactly what they stop.
Excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
so then I'll just clean that. I'll take that cloud off. So that is what it is, and it should be left alone.
All right.
You know, I thought I wasn't sure, and he pointed out it couldn't be there because it'd be a buffer, so.
So, you know, y'all look at that and you agree with it, then you can use this for your landscape guys. Okay, here are the areas. You can, need to work the orange areas here. Those are buffer mitigation areas. Right, and they were put in there because some of these areas they had to extend into the buffer. So they have to replace that somewhere else. And these areas are considered buffer and have the same rules, laws applied to them as standard 30-foot buffer you have out here.
Okay. Yep.
So those areas are the landscaping, I'll call out here, but then I try to, there are a lot of public easements through some of these areas here, but we don't want them going through there even though you can.
Yeah.
You know,
And,
because it is
just
a
make
public
one
easement,
better.
but it's more for storm, it's a storm drain easement. But took those off. And then the gray areas are where they can get in here. It looks like they can make it work. But,
Yeah, they can.
so the green areas are the wetland.
And they were actually happy, but when they received this map, they were even happier, you know?
Yeah, yeah, so they can look at it and they can give you a much sharper number.
Yeah.
Jeff, I only have one question. Do we have a date, a sort of time stamp for this one? In case there's ever any revs, we can. That way, if it becomes more floating around.
I can put that on here to make it official. Once you-
Yeah,
I'll clean her up and then I'll.
because I think we all agree, I think this is it. So if we have a date on it, then if they ever get updated or incremented or whatever, circulated, we'll be able to match the register. That's the right copy.
Could we add the pond numbers as well?
What?
The pond numbers as well?
Yeah, I will. Like I said, I created a map with all that stuff on it.
Oh,
Kind of I'll transfer it to that
Okay.
because it would be right now, if we.
To
were
the new
discussing
guy, it
it,
would help out when I get a phone call.
Yeah.
No, I'll do that.
This should always be the basis for future discussion. When you come in, because there's an area, you can blow it up. You know, and it just let this be the backdrop with the extract for that
Excellent.
plan.
Because I can plant all that other stuff on there.
Yeah,
You know.
that's great.
Do that.
Well, thank you.
And then
Didn't Coulter actually have previous landscape companies actually maintain?
They
some of
did,
these
remember I
buffer
had it up before?
So they should know.
Yeah, they did, but they used to maintain it, and then after that, they said, no, it's a,
Because that's why you couldn't get to it because it wasn't meant for you
Yeah.
to maintain.
yeah, that's exactly what.
That's,
So that's why we said maybe that's something with the landscapers that we're going to do it quarterly, you know, because it just literally weeds. So we talk about it when the time comes for that.
Any other questions from the board for Jeff?
No.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Then we'll just, one thing to do is get on those structures there and try to get them cleaned up. Because
Yeah,
it's
we'll-
already sneaking up on you, well, you know, and it's not draining. And if we do get a nice storm, yeah.
It's going to be a problem, man.
And I, and then you know, the flood volume and everything like that. And that could be a lot to do with why you got some really saturated ground, especially if you had some rain.
You know,
You just can't drain real easy because the ponds and everything is staging up, and that's the water level.
Yeah.
And then it just goes up from there in the ground. And then you got root drains going in those areas, and they're not being directed to good slope. That might be another problem there.
Yeah.
But most, if I'm not mistaken, most houses do not have gutters off their house or anything. It's just
So they drop right there.
right off to the pine bark that's right up there. So I don't know.
It should.
We don't, we need some kind of guided water.
It should be able to get out of there. I mean, the only other thing you could do is maybe put an under drain in some of these areas to drain better. You know, it's like you've got a good ditch between the houses, but they're not real. There's not a big
It's slow
slope,
enough to go to the.
and it doesn't have a lot of room to perk into the ground because the water table sits so high. So when it rains and saturates the gutters and everything all the way around the house, that's just saturating the ground there, and it can't move because the ponds taking the water table too high. So nothing can get out of there or perk into the ground. It's socked up. You're sitting on water.
Is the turf dying back behind the homes?
It's not dying. It's whenever they mow it, it's always wet and in the tire marks.
Yeah,
And the more you ride, the more.
Ruts.
Yeah, that's what it is.
it's just not draining out.
Mhm.
But do you think you might be able to dig in a little bit between now and the next meeting? So next meeting that we have, somebody talks about that one.
Oh, yeah.
The fucking windlass. I mean, the house.
Take time.
House with the
Look
specific
at the-
If you want to stop by, as I said, it's literally when you turn to real less, like the first 5 houses, they're fine, but after that, you can literally see it. And actually, they're flagged. If they don't move the flags, you can literally see it, like 15 or 10 houses.
8756 windlass says he's kind of right in the middle of it, so. That's all I know.
All right,
Great.
we good.
All right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
No problem. Anything you got?
Nope. Think we're good for now. All right, so we would move into landscape manager. So obviously haven't started with the new landscaper. So you have your irrigation inspection report from Prince and Sons. Obviously also, they're still on site. So we certainly can talk about anything related to that if you would like to. But I know obviously we're moving on shortly here.
Yeah. So I was talking to the new landscapers. I'm assuming the lawyers still working on their contract because they didn't receive it yet.
Yeah, the contract's been finalized on our end. I think we should need to send it over to the landscaper and then. just
Okay,
get
yeah,
our
we're
approval.
moving for it. The other thing, I know my friend over there, you said you have 20 years experience with landscaping, right? So the pipe, those fixed over there, the one that took like almost a month to fix, remember, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
I see a charge for it for $1,000. Well, my knowledge for landscaping, that's a little bit excessive. What kind of pipe we're talking about here? So if we can, we should ask him about it. We need details.
Yep.
It's a PVC pipe. And it wasn't an emergency work order or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would pay that invoice. I need to know what this special parts are talking about. Maybe I will learn something new.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
there's
it's
a letter.
Yeah.
There's a letter from their, there's a letter, when it was finally fixed. From their lead field manager. You should get a copy of that letter because it specifically, gives his timeline and his explanation as to why it was adequately addressed. And in that specific timeline, he does mention these special parts he had to order as why it took so many days. Of course, even after it was quote unquote done, the resident posted pictures of tadpoles, tadpoling in the water surrounding the fixed area. And they came back and did some more fixing and put some sod there for her and so on. But then you probably saw this email. It came during the last week or so. A gentleman by the name of Rod Bradford, he happened to come by that area and noticed the valve was off and sent pictures, which I believe went to you.
Name sounds familiar.
It was right around the time, and I'm pretty sure he knew that GMS was not there anymore. But again, he noted that the water main that had been fixed, the valve was in the off position, which means water is still not going to any of the landscaping that comes after that. And he sent us an email. So CCD.
That's funny you mentioned that because I sent an email to them last week about the section Carter Road where we had the fence from there to here. The grass was having a hit stress, you can tell. So I asked them to, make sure they check the irrigation, which now I'm assuming because the thing was off. I don't know. I don't know if you can keep touch with them and see what they did with that, because as I said, see by your house, William, the fence, the left side is fine, but the right side coming here, all of it is stressed with, there's no water.
You notice that you're getting fungus too, so I don't know what kind of pre-emergence or what Princeton Sun is reliable for, but you need to get out and start treating some of that fungus.
Supposedly they just treat it.
Okay,
I don't know, but what they use, I don't know.
all right, yeah, I saw fungus on. Yeah.
So I guess it's probably important to see if the valve needs to be turned 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, it's strange that valve is mainly out there or that someone can turn it on and off. I mean, can anyone turn this valve on and off?
Which is a problem.
A good question.
I mean,
Where's the picture? It looks
we
like
need to figure out some kind of way of maybe boxing it.
But yeah, we can have it.
Because, any Tom, Dick, or Harry who decides they got, something they aren't happy with, or they have to turn it off and.
Yeah, but just,
Can you just take a look at what it would cost to box it in for?
Pardon me?
Can we just look at what it would cost to box it in?
they sell those,
Yeah,
they sell, it's like a block,
yeah, I know.
put on top of it, so nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll check that and make sure, please, I don't know, because we're gonna come to approving those invoices, the specific one, we cannot approve it until they give us explanation, like.
Yeah.
Apply for $1,000, I mean. I'm
So
sorry.
if you want to chase that one down and let me know.
Their information.
Yeah, I know their contact info
I mean,
as
the
well.
bottom line is, I got vendors I can call and find out exactly what they pay for it. Site one, they usually buy from Site One or company like that. And I can find out
It's
exactly.
literally, all they did, my understanding, it's a CVC pipe, broke. I do this myself all the time. You cut two ends and you add another, connection. Costs $1,000, I don't know.
We'll find out. We'll get more info. So, okay. If there's no other landscaping questions at this time, we can move into the aquatic manager. Item C, they of course included their report of the ponds. Most of the stuff you'll see is just standard shoreline treatment. They did mention there's a little bit of algae there. I think there were 2 or 3 ponds that had some algae they treated. Didn't look like anything major, kind of expected because it's so hot and the rain seems to have slowed down some, which will get you the algae growth. So
What about wetland, like the one by my house is completely green? Who's responsible for that? Is it us, the county?
You really can't do anything about it in there. You're not getting proper flow through here. that doesn't help because it basically goes stagnant.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
And they're getting plenty of sunlight, and you're getting all kinds of aquatic plants in there, the little leaf things like that. I wish I knew the names of stuff, but I don't. And then the other wetland is even completely different species, but it's socked in too, and because it's not getting any good movement.
Yeah.
So it's and then you've got a lot of nutrients from those plants and everything sitting in there, and all that stuff dies, and it just falls back in there. It keeps feeding the system. And so if we can get that rolling right, that would help clear this stuff out. Because even when it rains, it's not clearing. It's just backing up, giving it more food, and it's
So once that water starts moving,
it's
it'll start helping, and then it'll move forward and it'll percolate down better, get into the groundwater.
Groundwater down, keep it down.
Yep.
In addition to fertilization from the homes.
You cannot control that.
No, just saying.
It's just, yeah.
Building up.
Residential areas are one of the highest pollutants out there. You have to get into heavy industrial to get out above it.
Absolutely.
So it's a tough battle because one source is just something you're not going to get rid of. People with their yards look nice. I understand that, but it's also going right into those ponds.
Yeah, everything
And
else.
it's a pure food for them.
The fine balance. All right. So moving into the field manager report, obviously, Gary, welcome, field manager. We did have a couple of specific items on the agenda. The first one was related to an item that came as a request from one of your residents, a dead end sign at the corner of Capstan where it intersects with Windlass. And that's near and dear to my heart. I had the exact issue in the first home I lived in Florida. We lived in a cul-de-sac. I had little kids. People would come down. They would get angry because they didn't know they were going into a circle. So they would just cut the wheel and floor it out of there from the top of the circle. So I can understand the concern, but it's for your consideration.
No, well, we have 4 cul-de-sacs and only one, surprisingly, one of them's Windlass itself. I think somebody,
Like no.
the homeowner who's bringing this up on Capstan, he said that there is one just past Capstan for Windlass saying dead. He said it's a dead end.
Yeah.
But basically we have four cul-de-sacs and we had the same issue that, there's people thinking that they can get out or something. Well, obviously, Mercator Court, I hope that they could see the homes right there. But since it's not that long, but yeah, so it's something we could probably look at, either a no outlet or dead end for all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Or the other 3, like you said, one has it.
Yeah, we just got a proposal for 4 of them and that's it.
Three.
So,
3 or
All
3.
make them all the same.
All of them, yeah.
If that one's a.
Well, depending what you want. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want them to say dead end? Then we would just need 3. If we want no
Or no
outlet,
outlet, I don't know what's
you would
right.
do 4.
I don't know what the.
I mean, if it's dead end, it's dead end. Where are you going? Just put dead end.
just quickly, signs are controlled by the MUTCD. And you can't just say you want a sign and throw it anywhere you want. They have certain distances and spaces from other signs and so on and so forth. That would be one that I would ask Jeff if he could if we want to put.
Are these roads county owned?
No, they're owned by they're owned by the district by default. They're public roads, but the district has to pay to maintain the roads.
Right, so they're yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go on the assessor, it says Eagle Point as the property owner.
So do they dictate any work in these right of ways? Since you own them.
Every maintenance it's us.
They do.
Yeah,
maintenance,
the county has, the county has said it's all on us. If we wanted to do anything with the roads, we would have to approve stuff and then turn it over to them, and depending on what it is, that it would generate different costs that we would have to pay.
They would have to come in and do the work. And so it would be required to meet their standards or anything, there's several signs like no through, dead end always stops them.
Well, I think, with as can't remember who mentioned it, but if we have one dead end already, and if we have the ability to save on one sign
Yeah.
and match it up,
Yeah.
assuming that,
Just check what we're required to do, right? That's what-
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask Jeff. I mean, you obviously, well, you can't, I don't know, you can't mount anything with a stop sign. You may be able to mount it on the street side, but I don't know, I hate signs, I avoid it. So, I get the traffic guys do signs, but, you know, you're on all sides. But
I would think, see it as an auxiliary sign, you can put stuff on stop signs like that,
Okay,
That's what I was gonna say, like, does it say like your street,
that's the best place to put it.
your entrance to your road, do you have a sign that says the curve?
yeah, we have the sign.
Okay, it's the thing, feel like have a sticker for that one. Instead of having the entire thing. No chance?
Yeah, well, I'm saying, let them tell us where and what height they're supposed to be and so on, because you just can't throw signs everywhere on the street.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the stop sign would work, you wouldn't have to put in another post,
Yeah.
all that stuff like that.
how about we have Jeff, kind of give some ideas. We'll queue it up on the next agenda, and if all makes sense, because it'll be a quick turnaround ordering something like that.
I'm good.
Okay, got it.
You just all the dead end, you said there's 3 more you gotta have, right?
Yeah.
Where's the one that's got the dead end sign?
It's windless, so
This all the way down, this one. Up in the
Oh, all the way down there, okay. Yeah, I mean, I just went, through there, I didn't even notice it. Because it's.
may need to be better.
All right, item number 2 was discussion of hog trappers. So I know there was at one point a resident as well that was concerned about the hogs potentially damage to CDD property. Obviously, of course, it could do damage to resident property. So, I mean, this is a pretty typical thing, right? You're near construction, hogs move around. I can only tell you that, yes, you can look into proposals for it. It is very expensive. They want you to have basically a contract where they don't just come out and remove hogs. They want a contract that says you'll stay with them for.
I mean, it's just like they're saying, it's Florida. You don't have bugs no matter what, you don't have bugs no matter what. Me personally, it's no work.
Where was the area in district that they were talking about?
When was also there where that erosion problem was on that road?
They can make a mess.
I mean, we back up to so much back over there. I don't.
If it was an epidemic, I think we'd be looking at it a little differently, like if everyone's yard was
Yeah.
getting shredded.
And you'll have less and less as more and more is building around you. Yeah, so it will die down.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't see it's worth it to spend the money, especially look into a contract. With yeah.
Sounds like something just to keep watching to see what happens with it, but it's not.
As you said, it's gonna die slowly.
We're aware, we'll keep it on the back burner and we can always discuss it again.
The camera, go get one of the.
Yeah.
All right. The next item I had was item E, the Tier 1 Pest Control Solutions Report. Didn't know if you guys had anything on that. Mainly informational, I suppose. So we would move into item F.
So they have, before we move.
Yes, sir.
Those the ones they do the management center here, right?
That's what I understand, yes.
I mean, it's a little bit better, but I would like him to focus more for the spider eggs
Okay.
on the ceilings of the building.
Yeah.
It's hard to treat them. There's a lot of spiders, but they can always swipe them and take them out
Yep.
instead of just sitting there.
No problem. To be honest with you, with a report like that, at least my own experience, I usually just send it out. I don't have it as an agenda item because if I send it out to you as soon as I get it, you guys can let me know that sort of stuff and we just take care of it
Yeah.
if that works.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll move into the item F, attorney report. I'll of course give it over to Brian. We also do have Michelle on the Teams call. So just to let you know, the floor is yours.
Hello. So again, Brian's Camarino with Appleton Reiss. We're now the new district counsel. Michelle Reiss she had a conflict and couldn't attend today in person, but she is on Zoom. So there's not too much for us to report today. I believe we finalized the agreement with Kai Connected. There was a hiccup on one provision that we've worked through. And then the landscaping agreement with US Lawns, that's ready to go as well. I believe we're just working through the scope of work to make sure it encompasses everything that you guys think you're paying for. That way there's no surprises later if any additional charges come through. We did today receive a request for voluntary mediation through the Attorney General Mediation Program. It's related to a records request dispute, a public records dispute. A Rebecca Hathaway is disputing the amount of charges that the CDD has charged for responding to her records request. And so
Just
Wait, is it CDD or the-
No, it's the previous management company, GMS. It was their,
Not the CDD.
Yeah.
they're the one that is being the roadblock with that.
Sure.
Not the district.
Gotcha. The request was submitted to the CDD. So, it's optional. You're not required to accept your request. It does show good faith and it can be an effective.
I think the CDD accepted the request. We had nothing to do with it. It was the price from GMS that was discouraging.
What happened, to make the story short? Was Hathaway, which is William's wife, she requested, emails from basically a year, almost a year. My emails, his emails, we're pro good with it. When we get contacted from men, company said, hey, it's her right, and there's nothing to hide. Problem is a lot of those emails connected to security issue. The cameras, the management company said, hey, I cannot give you something like this until it goes to the attorney. You're gonna have to pay for the attorney at the time we're gonna sue. So we have nothing to do with this. With that being said, I mean, to be honest, I'm not accepting it there. No.
I'm not sure what you're asking to accept, but I will tell you that, and this comes just before you guys were on board, Ms. Hathaway, she funneled some CDD correspondence with William to the resident who wrote those letters threatening various legal violations that I had made. So I made that public during the meeting 2 meetings ago, that the secret source of the resident was actually our board member and his wife. So it was in and during that time frame that she made those records requests. Again, as Mr. Agabi said, she requested all emails in the inbox and outbox since November 7th, 2024. When GMS gave her an initial estimate of the time it would take to do that, they had no idea how many emails they were dealing with. And then I saw they shared, correspondence with all of the board. When I saw their follow-up with her about additional costs, they said, we thought it would take 3 hours to address. It took 6.5 hours to download the emails because there's over 1,000 with just me in that time frame. And then when they noticed that a large majority of those, or a good amount of those emails included sensitive security information, as Mr. Agabi said, they simply provided in the math, X number of emails would have to be reviewed specifically and redacted and then have attorney review time. So they kind of gave an estimate, and that estimate ended up being some 20 hours of an admin person, 5 hours of a lawyer, something to that effect. It came out to be 3,000 something bucks. So can you repeat to me again what this request is?
So she's requesting that the CDD attend mediation through the Attorney General Mediation Program. It's a free, I believe it's free. It's offered by the government, and it's basically just an opportunity to attend mediation with her to attempt to resolve the dispute over the costs.
I'm denying
But
that.
if the dispute's not with anyone here, it's with the company that was doing the work, who's no longer associated with the board. So
Yeah,
there's nothing I don't think any one of us can do about that.
Ron, I think we spin into it. Do you want to do it?
Absolutely.
You want to do it? All right, Nobody, you want to do it?
I mean, to me, this is with the previous management company. So obviously there's the record request aspect and what it entails. But I know GMS said that they put everything to the side to turn over to the new management company. But it's an issue that GMS is the one coming up with the amount. So, I mean, if it's not with GMS, then the question would be whether the new management company would even have the same, what their lookout would be on it, and as to why GMS couldn't provide the stuff. But
Now, even when it comes to the new management company, if there is the same, I will assume they're going to take the same lead. I'm not trying to stop from anybody from getting anything, but if there is security issues that can come after us as a board later. Which I will give an example, what happened with the HOA. The management company messed up and gave a medical record of some homeowner to another homeowner, and then the guy is going after the HOA board now. And it wasn't his fault, it was the, so as of now, we are not accepting that. If anything is gonna happen down the road moving forward, we're gonna talk about it.
Understood.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. So, I have secret sources as well, and one of my secret sources told me that Ms. Hathaway has also challenged the HOA with some sort of a suit claiming damages because she was privy to this medical information in a FOIA request that she made to the HOA that was improperly given to her with certain unredacted information. So knowing that history, I absolutely am terrified of giving her 1,000+ emails without making sure they are thoroughly reviewed and redacted for any information, because the very first thing she's going to do is find some reason to bring another action if something isn't done right. So I mentioned this to Michelle, and so I said, anything regarding this, watch out for it and make sure that if we get this request again, that it's filled with proper due diligence about any legal repercussions about the information that's given out to a member of the public.
So no action at this time
No.
is as a general for the board as a whole. Okay.
And just for the record, there is no suit in relation to the medical information. There's nothing with that. And that's not anything on her part. That anything done with that is in relation to that homeowner and whatever he did.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right.
The last thing on my list was the fining just issue. Our firm is reviewing that. I know your previous attorney has given you advice you guys are able to fine. That seems consistent with the statute based off of our research. We're looking for additional authority that supports that before officially advising the CDD that they should.
So then I'm getting, I had been told the right way.
What was that?
Are we going toward the right way with finding?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. I'm going to discuss my findings with Michelle. I believe that later, probably next week, and then we'll get back to the CD on.
Yeah, because where we stand, where we stood was that we were advised that our next step was to have the attorney write a letter to the homeowners that were fined. And that stalled because of the change over here. So when I was speaking to Michelle, that was the hiccup. She wasn't even sure we had final authority, which was a little confusing.
Yeah.
So we'll just, you get back to us when you know more what we recommend you do.
Okay. Yeah. On that note, were the fines adopted at a public hearing? Just for the record?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a record of that.
Should be.
Okay.
And then we'll take a look. Should be in the minutes for that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were specially advertised as well as public hearings.
We had people here,
so some people attended that were people involved in violations. And most people that were involved in violations, there were no fines. The suspension were lifted at the night of that meeting, but we had some very serious circumstances, 4 of them, that the board levied what we were told was the maximum allowable fine. And the research that I've done also says some of these max allowable fines are per violation. And we're talking about groups that had dozens of violations on multiple instances, even after having access revoked with hot fences and let everybody in and do this. So we were perfectly comfortable and voted unanimously when we established those fines.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, there was a big change after that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the biggest asset we have in the community,
Yeah.
If you allow this kind of things going on, I mean, if this place looks like ghetto, it's not for the community. It's the heart of the community.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay. Chuck, you should go if you want to go. I think we're good.
Yeah, you don't have to. Only if you're interested, you're more than welcome.
I think you got my plate full now.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
You have a good one.
You got any questions on that?
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
All right, thanks, guys.
Have a good day. Thanks.
Next item, item 4, business matters. They probably call it manager's report because it's all stuff that I've kind of have to run through, a lot of housekeeping stuff for the board. So the first one, I had sent off an email, kind of a follow-up to our admin, had sent off the copies of the 3 meeting minutes that were sent under separate cover. All I was basically saying, if you want more time to review, there's no harm in putting it on the next agenda. Of course, if you're prepared to approve those this evening, that's fine as well.
A lot of things are missing.
Okay.
We would say we should pay them. I don't know about you guys.
I couldn't get through the first page of the first one without finding an entirely different story than what went down at that meeting. So I
Okay.
really would like, these last 2 meetings where there was a lot of insanity going on, and a lot of accusations flying around in the community regarding these meetings. I would ask if you have the ability, to take audio recordings, through AI or some other way. That's what GMS did, to create a summarized, transcript of it, that you start with. I thought, from what I read, it was almost unsalvageable. I spent an hour just adding my comments before I realized I wasn't gonna get done. It's better off to start from scratch with a detailed one and maybe pair facts.
So let me at least make a suggestion. So having done this for a while and sitting on a CDD board myself for over 10 years, one of the things that I've seen over the years is that with most boards, we usually try to recommend that we get away from these minutes that are having a lot of conversation, especially when we start talking about back and forth conversation where there's different opinions, different sides, and that sort of stuff. And we really try to parse these minutes down to really what's vital as a government entity that you are. And really that is motions and bullet points of action items, because anybody, whether it be you guys as a board or whether it be your residents, they need to pick up a document that is brief and tells them right away, here's the things that were approved, here's the things that are being worked on. Because honestly, at least what I've found, when we get the more and more detail we get into, especially discussion type stuff, we're always going to have a circumstance where, because there's context, there's inflection, and we're always going to have this thing where we're going back and we're saying, well, that doesn't capture all of it because we missed this, or I didn't mean this. And the problem with that is, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you're just like a city council or a county board, and really just brevity and importance. And I'll tell you, I mean, it also helps you in the grand scheme of things, putting everything out there. Whatever you put on that, essentially you're marketing for your community. And the recording's always available. Like if somebody wants to see the down and dirty of every meeting, they can always go listen to it, right?
Well, that's another thing on my list to discuss someday is what kind of availability can we make for having a live stream that has a video and is also stored and available to people who don't make it to the meeting.
Yeah.
Because right now, the way it was with GMS is that the audio recordings, they said they do keep, but they're only FOIA request accessible. And I prefer to have more availability of the meeting for people that want to catch up even that night or that week, or go back later on and see what really happened. I'd be 100% content with the generalized summary meeting, that someone could go back and actually listen and say, yep.
So
I did say that.
we can make, the accessibility of the audio can start at 6:08 tonight. Like I have no problem. Somebody needs it, we send it out to them. Now, the mechanism of how do we easily make it available, hypothetically, do we put it on a website or whatever the case might be? That's something we'd have to figure out what the best method is, right? But as far as general accessibility, right now, I've got a recording. If somebody needs it, I'll send it out within 5 minutes. I mean, that's not a problem.
That's something we'll talk about.
Yeah, it's just there's some additional detail that I still believe needs to go into these last 3 meetings that wasn't that should be on the record.
Okay.
Should we table it?
Well, why don't I think that's a good idea. At the very least, we got it today, right? We got 3 sets of minutes today. So why don't we table it? Kevin, as well as the other board members, you can look through it. If there's pertinent things that you think need to be in there, notate it, because I'm not going to know offhand, because I'm even further away from it than your previous management company, even if they got it wrong. I've only been to the one meeting, and then we can come back and we can talk about that. And again, this is the one thing I want to emphasize with the meeting minutes, as well as with the financial stuff. You never have to wait for the meeting to tell me about that. Like, as soon as, if you're looking at it a week ahead of the meeting and you say, oh gosh, here's a question about an invoice, or here's a meeting minute that there's something wrong, just email me, call me. I want to come to the meeting basically with things ready to go.
I know, we get it, but you realize that those minutes were sent this afternoon.
That's why I'm saying table it. No. Oh, I didn't expect everybody to go through those. I'm just saying it in general. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we'll table that.
Yeah.
Obviously, guys, send me whatever you think from these meeting minutes, from these 3, as well as the ones we have from this meeting. Take a look at it and we'll go from there. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to the housekeeping items. So the first one is consideration of resolution 2026-01, appointing district manager and fixing compensation. So this is, if you had a chance to look at the meeting package, obviously the resolution is in there, and this is your selection ultimately of a new management company. So before we get to any discussion, I do like to have a motion in a second. So I'll ask if we have that.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-001.
Okay, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded. And now, any discussion, questions, comments, thoughts? And if there are none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. The next item is resolution 2026-02. And this resolution is for designating your registered agent and registered office. So this is going to be your attorney's office. That way, anything that needs to get in the hands of your district goes right to the appropriate source to handle it, and that's your attorneys and your legal team. So I'll ask first if there is a motion to approve that resolution.
Motion.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any additional discussion or comments and questions on that one?
No.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next one is resolution 2026-03. This is your designation of officers. The only thing we pre-fill into this particular document, if you had a chance to look at it, is basically officers from the company that I work for so that we can execute certain things on behalf of the district. So it's going to have myself as secretary so I can sign certain things. We're going to have a treasurer listed there, Carrie Robertson. She heads up our accounting team as well, so she can handle some of the financial instruments. And then we also have an assistant treasurer, obviously a backup, and an assistant secretary, same thing as a backup. So from your perspective as a board, what we look to do is we would want a motion to adopt this particular resolution with the officer structure as stated. And then the caveat is you can say, keeping our previous officer structure the same, or you can make a motion as part of that to change the current officer structure to such and such chair, such and such vice chair, those sort of things.
So what kind of stuff are you talking about? Minor stuff to handle? Just like give me an example. Like what would this one cover? Exactly how you go.
So it depends on it. Are you talking about the ones that are pre-filled in or just in general?
But the ones that we like.
Yeah. Yeah. So quite simply, I'll give you the most basic example. You have meeting minutes, which are typically signed by the chair, but they can also be signed by the secretary, which would be me. Let's say for some reason, I don't even know. We have an example that it didn't get signed. I could sign off on it as secretary. And so from an assistant treasurer perspective, we have during the month, you're going to pay certain invoices. It would be tough to run a check down to the chair every single time we are paying an invoice. So the treasurer signs off on it.
Makes sense.
Yep. So those are the sort of items.
I'm always.
Okay. And are we making any changes to the existing officer structure, or are they staying the same as part of that motion?
You're the same. When I even know you're finding out much, so
Okay.
keep them that way.
There you go. Well, oh, and I should be clear. What I mean was your current officer structure.
The
Because
way it is right now.
yes, because we would either be reaffirming that or changing it. That's why we left it blank.
Anybody? You wanna, so you position of the chair and vice chair and I'm leaving it as William.
It's fine.
All right, then we good.
Okay. So do we have a second to that particular motion? Seconded. Any additional discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor?
I.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. The next resolution is resolution 2026-04, and this is designating bank signatories. So this is kind of a component resolution, right? We already authorized somebody to act on your behalf with the financial instruments, and this is actually allowing them to physically sign. So we have listed Carrie again, who was in the previous resolution, and her backup, which is Sonia, and she is actually the accountant for the hands-on account for the district. So just looking for a motion to approve that one.
Motion to approve.
Okay, and do we have a second?
I second
Seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next one's probably the easiest one. It's resolution 2026-05, and this is designating the district address. It's the address of my office so that we can make sure we get everything, basically. So just looking for a motion to approve that.
Motion it.
All right, and do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any additional discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. All right, so we're out of that stuff and you're all set now with your new management company, new attorneys, and we'll move into your existing relationship that you have with your auditor. So we have an engagement letter from your auditor, and this is for handling your fiscal year 2025 audit. If you had a chance to look over the document, I'm just trying to scroll to it. I believe the price was $4,700 for the year. I'm just scrolling through to look. I know it was in the 4,000s. And I can tell you, at least anecdotally, about what for the scope and the size of your district, that's about what you usually see. Grau is the largest. There's two very large providers of auditing services. They're one of the two, and good solid firm. But I always mention, if you do decide that you want to test the market, so to speak, see who else is out there, there is a whole audit process that we go through, guided by statute, and you can do that at any time. But the tagline to that is, if you've been happy with your audit and they've been here for a while, sometimes there's some benefit that your price is lower because it doesn't take them as long to kind of go through the process.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, as you said, for the size of the community and the price. That's always good.
Yep. So if you are prepared, we're just looking for a motion to approve that engagement letter from Grau, and it is $4,300. So a little bit lower than I thought.
I motion to approve it.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second
Seconded. Any additional discussion, questions, or comments?
Yeah, page 4, can we make sure that it gets, the top bolded part gets updated to your guys' information?
We can do that. Yes. Now, especially since we designated that address, we'll get it updated. No problem.
Oh, they didn't
That's a-
know about, they didn't know that I would switch them in, it's not a problem.
Well, they probably know now because we work with Grau, as obviously everybody does, but probably whenever they produce this. So we'll let them know. Easy enough. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Moving into some discussion items that we have here. The first one is assigning a duty to each board member, which was a request to talk about. So I'll turn it over to the board.
All right, so I was thinking of landscaping, as I said, we talked about it last time. Me personally, the way I like to do things, as I mentioned in the last meeting to you guys, like I need to be copied in every single email have something to do with the landscaping. Big, small, it doesn't matter, just needs to be copied. So far we have a couple projects to move forward with, it's not a big deal, so yeah, I'm mostly doing the landscaping. But
Do you have a punch list your Princeton Son to complete for their last service?
no, not really, no, not really. There is, I mean, even if you have a functions, they would never do it, I'm just saying. Okay.
So I have taken on the amenity center related issues. It's far more quiet than it ever was. So, it really amounts to, or had amounted to, dealing with residents directly who I put myself out there for, call me if there's a trespass situation or a fence climb or whatever, because, I think at one time we had to sign something that said we would assume that trespass authority as a verb. Rabah did back in. So I'll continue to do that and probably want to be in touch with you and or whoever would be involved if and when there's another violation situation where we typically it kind of originates somewhere here in the community. People reach out, we look at the cameras, try to timestamp, we do a few, get you started. This is what we did before. So I would want to talk to you and your person that would be assisting with that sort of thing. To talk about what the process is, and it's essentially providing a formal document of the violations.
Yep.
It was written, I'll give you samples, but it was written very detailed with timestamps, descriptions of the individuals. If we had a card key identifying the individual, that would be in there, what the violations were. This report would then go to me typically, and I would review and make sure that nothing was missed. The person the person from GMS to whom I would send this would also do her review and fill in the blanks. Because again, my point would be just to try to get them started and then let them be done. Once two of us agreed that the report was thorough, it was circulated to the rest of the board. Now that person also, the amenity center director representative, would be the one that would call the individuals if the violators could be identified. And they would discuss with them the nature of the violation. In most cases, in the majority of cases, it's a first time thing and a minor thing. Like letting people in instead of having them use their own car.
Mhm.
That led to a lot of problems because they let people in that were hovering. They let them in and then they whistle and they come out of the woodwork, crews and whatever, and there'd be 40 people in there. So we cracked down on even people letting people in. But typically what would happen is they wouldn't get any suspension for that, and they would be warned, and then it would be officially their first violation. So I want to talk through kind of what we've done in the past with someone and
we have an amenity center contract with you guys or not?
I'll have to look to see. I believe so.
There was.
Yeah, I believe there was. Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'm assuming you guys have an amenity center manager.
Yeah, we have different managers. Yeah. So
I want to meet that person or talk to them and kind of we can you may not want to do things the same exact way, and that's fine. I don't want to twist I just want to make sure we're covered because the intent was eventually if it leads to a hearing and the board decides whether there's going to be a continued suspension or whatever or a fine, we have to make sure all the ducks are in a row and all the things have been done properly.
So, yeah, so that's easy. Let me look at how it's all structured in the contract or whatnot, but basically, one way or the other, we'll put somebody in touch. I'll be involved also because I need to know.
Yeah.
And then we'll understand kind of what the template and the processes are and just make sure that we're keeping things consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, in that person, obviously, we have a security system where at a certain time before sundown, there's a speaker that does a warning here.
Uh-huh.
There's motion detection, and we have a monitoring service at night where if the motion detection and the warning does not heed a person leaving.
Yep.
That there's an actual service where someone is going to be coming on.
Yep.
And looking and talking to the people.
So-
And you in the white shirt, eventually leads to a phone call, and there's people on that call list. And the Brian, the former Mendenhall Center manager from GMS,
Yes.
was someone on that potential call list.
I'm board member as well.
So the good news is Complete IT, which is handling
Yeah.
your security. I know Brian, I know the owner of the company very well. They provide the same security at the CDD that I sit on.
Mhm.
So familiar.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll set up the process. It's
Yeah.
easy enough. Yeah, so that won't be a problem.
Just to mention before I forget, since I'm in a liaison, but this board liaison that you played in, it's not, I'm in charge of the landscaper. So expect every once in a while, me and you are gonna have like set date to do the inspection, like entire thing. Just like every once in a while, it won't happen a lot, but every once in a while, so everybody's going to be on the same page, just work with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, for something like this where we have like things that Kevin does, that Rabah does, Will does, or myself, we should have clear defined like roles, or at least open responsibilities, and
Sure.
assign them to a seat. And there are certain things I think we could really benefit from, like vendor relationship management type of style stuff. I understand you guys that, you work with all the vendors, you deal with everything, but you also work with us and open tasks and what we're doing. So like, I was kind of like I work talking with other people that I know are on boards. I've been on boards before, but just clear defined roles, and we really focus on residents and vendors. There's really not much more outside of that. So we should have specifics where I think we have something like whether it's client management, vendor management.
Yeah.
So that we have clear defined, we have some roles, responsibilities, we have procedures. Yeah. So I would like to, like for myself, I've been in procurement for 25 years. I've dealt with vendors all over the world, and I've been traveled around to do audits, work with it, whether, it's ISO 9000 or any kind of thing that's ESG or DEI or just problem with vendors. So, even if I said for my seat, which is seat 5, if it could be responsible for vendor management relationship, what's up with that would be, even so one of the big things that everyone was talking about and happened is 3 vendors left at once. And it was the management system, the landscaper, the lawyer. And there seems to be some people in the community who feel if nothing was resolved from it, there was nothing learned from it, whether you're for it or against it or whatever. I think it gets. You good?
Yes, thank you.
So, we could all just work and learn from it, document what happened, kind of come up with an understanding of how to get better from it, that type of stuff. I've worked with vendors personally, professionally, for years in coming up with scorecards and QBRs and all the type of reviews and stuff. And I just think it would, we don't have to get crazy. It doesn't have to be an act of Congress, but I think it would be nice to have something where there'll be defined roles. When a vendor leaves on good terms or bad terms, you do a postmortem of why, anything we can learn better or do better the next time, that type of stuff. That would be like a responsibility of it. But I think that would be something I would love to do. But I also think for everyone else here, besides the fact that Rabah does the landscaping thing and Kevin does, let's say, the security. And I don't think there's got to be more stuff. Like there's got to be things we all
Right,
do
because
and sign out.
but instead of saying me is the amenity center, let's say it's security, which
Sure.
used to be a huge job. Maybe it's not as big now.
Right.
But
But it could be again.
vendors could extend to, like, people are complaining the pool is green. Has the pool vendor even shown up? Is anyone
Right.
doing anything about it? And someone has to reach out to the pool vendor or you
Mm-hmm.
to like, is that what you mean is also?
Yeah, so it's not just about open task, but like the pool vendor, the guy quit,
Right.
and we had to get someone else. Do we know why? The guy, I know they went out of business, but like all that type of stuff, was it something that wasn't working well with him? Was it some kind of relationship problem? Was it just that, he quoted us and it was below market value? He's like, I'm losing money, I don't want to do it. Where we could have had a conversation, because what really bothered me, and it's not going to live in the past, but like GMF, they just said, we're done. Like there was no conversation, there was no sit down, there was no forum for them to even feel comfortable. And for whatever reason, to actually say, hey, guys, something's not working with the way we're doing it, and kind of go on with it and kind of get it going and understanding. And not just in every time we sit here once a month. It's kind of hard to keep pushing everything once a month. So
I think that's a great idea, to be honest with you. And if that's the case, how you planning to do it? Like to get connection, like let's say twice a year with those vendors, at least the basic connection, like how we're doing.
I'm
what do we
doing
have?
Kevin and quarterly, quarterly business reviews.
Yeah.
They could be yearly, they could be depending on how much. Let's just face it, the biggest review is the landscaping, and the management company, which you work with us, but it would be full. I'm not saying I'm a subject matter expert in landscaping, so I would default to you on their performance, what you think they're doing, how they're doing, but. And even if it doesn't mean you can't communicate with the person, but it's just got to be something where we document it, we understand it, how we're moving forward with them, and then really focus on just, any kind of procedures we need, any kind of policy in place.
I think it's really good. There's a good place for this too, because a lot of concerns with vendors come from residents. Someone will post 10 times in 10 days the same picture of a pond and say the midge flies. And it doesn't matter what you do, you have to sort of discuss with the vendor, I guess, is there any other way we can deal with the midge flies? If not, we can communicate that to the residents that we can, but that's like a vendor coordination and discussion issue.
Sure.
And,
And that's what it is. It's all about like open communication. Use that example. Someone does have a problem, whether they go through the website, they email me, they say, hey, I'm having a problem with midge flies. Can you talk to the vendor about it? And then we document it. We go get their response. We document it. We put it back out there. We addressed it. And, it's just, and I'm not saying it's the action list because that's internal to get things done, but it's also for communication, let everyone know we're moving forward.
Right.
We've addressed your concerns. Because when I read that gentleman, and I don't know the facts, so I probably know better, but that one gentleman who said, I've been dealing with CDD for a year with this. That's the first time I ever heard.
Same I said,
And I feel
It has been nowhere near a year.
I feel bad. And maybe that's it.
January of this year.
You document it, you bring it up, and you say, you know what, the fine was, I'll just use that as an example. Fine was, it hasn't been a year, it's been 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is, and then the facts are out there, so everyone knows what's going on. That's a piece of it. A big piece is vendors leaving and vendors coming on, that type of stuff. So I just think there should be some kind of roles and responsibilities, but there's also the residents, there's also, like I said, security, landscaping, there's other things that I'm probably not all privy to that are actual full roles that we could divvy out to others and or seats. So when someone leaves and that seat's up, that's kind of the role they're stepping into. But you can also, as a board, we can also change them up and pull things and put them to others as well. So I just want to be more formalized with roles and responsibilities. I specifically would love to do vendor relationship management.
All yours.
There you go.
Gary, you want to say something?
Yeah, number one, I pride myself on my vendor relationships. And I do have a question. Does the board ever just go directly to get estimates? Because that's not how we typically work.
No, it's not that. We don't want to step over you.
Okay.
This is more dealing with the community, the
In
residents.
communications, how Rabah said, well, he really wants to be focused on communication related to field issues. For me, it's, I don't need to get field issue CC necessarily, I mean, as a chair, maybe to be overall, I don't care, send me everything. But the point is, with this kind of a role, this is the board liaison related to vendors and vendor relations. If there's something related to a vendor problem, someone sends it to you through the portal and says, they're not doing their job. I just saw the guy, urinating on the sidewalk with his landscaping outfit on, that's happened here, but it was just some, it was some residents, landscaper. It wasn't our community landscaper, but CC, our, our guy.
We CC on everything, I
Yeah.
understand, but I'm just saying, no, I'd like to get everything sent to me.
Oh,
I deal with
100%.
it with-
Yeah.
We're not trying to take your.
No, it's
I
not,
don't
it's,
like your job.
This is, I like you brought that thing up because this involved the main issue we went through with the previous company with the field map. Me personally, I felt like I've been challenging him all the time. I have no problem if you bring in your preferred vendor, if the prices are completely fair or not. If I'm really sure I can beat your proposal, I will definitely tell you now, and I'm gonna bring my stuff, and I won't let you work with
That's
this.
typically a board decision.
Yeah.
I make my recommendations and it's our board and they decide what they want.
Trust me, I have no problem with that at all.
Perfect. Okay, are we?
So the only thing I want to say to that item is that, and this is related to just an overall, moving ahead tonight. I'd like the community to be able to be made aware of, I know we have the website, people always say, oh, I didn't look at the website, and people have to take responsibility. But we have constant contact for sending email blasts, I am active on the private Facebook page. I like to give information. We'll have a spot on there where there's just some pinned posts, like you want to contact someone, here's some contacts. Just so that people can find places, find people, contact. So would you be able to just prepare like a contact sheet list? I know we have one on the website.
Sure.
But who you are.
Yeah, of course.
And what all you take, and then maybe we can add, we never had something like this before, but board liaison for vendors, vendor relations, field services, amenity center and security / whatever. Like I that way we can say Kai is fully on board.
Yeah.
We're moving forward. These are the people you need to reach out to if you have an issue, and it's always you, but then maybe also the field person.
We can put that together right away. That's easy. Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, and honestly, it makes our job easier because then we don't have things coming into us, So
And how, or even like a welcome. If it was an email with constant contact, it's great because it's welcome. We're here. We have our first meeting. This is how you reach out to us if you have this or that question. Here are some of the links. And also, I think you said that there was a way that someone resident could just
QR codes.
That's what you said, right? QR codes, like send a comment or a request or a concern.
We've got a really good kind of intro email blast, right? So what we'll do is we'll get that out. It'll have all the info. It'll be helpful for your residents. And it in my opinion, and I'm still relatively new to this company. In my opinion, it's really good. It's something we didn't have in the same format at my previous company.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that when I came over, I was like, oh, this is really good, especially when you're starting out new in a community. You really want to get off on the right foot, right?
Yeah. So we get these questions. Who do I contact? Who do I ask? They could ask us all the time.
Oh, if I'm not mistaken, last year, didn't we move forward with like the e-blood system?
Yeah, constant contact. That's the name of the.
Yeah. And we talk.
You guys have your own system by itself, so we'll keep the same one.
So we do have a system on our own. However, we also have, because your previous management company had given me the constant contact info. And so I checked we basically have a marketing person that sends all these things out. So I checked with her and said, hey, can you use constant contact? Do you have to use what you're using? And she said, sure, we can use constant contact. We just need the sign-in details, which we get from GMS.
Yeah.
So
So nothing will change.
it'll be seamless. Yeah.
But they don't want to pay for an extra one. If they
But
already have the way.
the thing is it included in our contract, your email blast?
I'd have to see. I think it is, but let me get the details. Here's the thing. Here's my opinion. You have constant contact right this minute. Let's get the information out because that'll be the quickest method to do it. And then we can always come back if I'll talk to them and say, hey, what's the process here for if the board wants to move over to our method of sending out information. I'll get all those details for you.
Oh, sounds good.
But I don't want any gap time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So when we used to get those, that's just basically what I would also then take and screenshot and put on the Facebook page.
Yep.
In case you didn't get it, in case, and here's how you subscribe if you prefer the emails. Not everyone is opted into it. And every once in a while, when we share the stat, a few more people opt in. So we're aware of it.
Yeah, no, that's easy enough. We had another item, irrigation line issue on 11811 Armada Way.
That's what we talked about.
I was gonna ask that. That's,
And, yeah.
we should have labeled it $1,000
Yeah, the $1,000.
golden pipe.
28 days before we get erosion. You should apologize for being upset.
Okay,
Do we have to make a motion to accept that we're gonna create roles and responsibilities for each
so
seat? Or is it just
my recommendation would be this, in my opinion, this is going to be a little bit of a fluid thing because I think you're going to find out as you go along that, oh, hey, we need to somebody take the responsibility for something that comes up as an issue. So my recommendation would be, as long as there's consensus among the board, then, obviously we can talk about it. We make a decision. We have a consensus. If there is some huge disagreement, everybody's fighting because they want to be the liaison for ponds, then we can push it to a vote if you had to do that. That's how I look at it, but you're the board, so entirely up to you.
I agree with him.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah. What do you think, bro?
that's fair?
Okay.
Aye.
And again, everything's fluid. If we decide that, hey, we need to lock this down with a motion, we can always do that. Not a problem. So I did skip over one important item, so I'm just going slightly back to item H, just above the discussion items, and that was the presentation of the fiscal year 2025 goals and objectives and authorizing the chair to execute. So you may recall, if you were on the board at the time, about 2 years ago, legislators decided that CDD boards were going to have to develop goals and objectives. Generally speaking, most of the CDD boards, they chose goals and objectives that were measurable and attainable, right? You want to pass. And so every year we adopt these goals and objectives by October. And then you essentially, for the previous year, you're going to go ahead and go through that score sheet in December and say, these were our goals, and you're going to check them off if you obviously met them. So this is essentially your goals and objectives for the next fiscal year, or this fiscal year, which we just entered yesterday. And it's, I don't want to assume, but I think these are probably based on your previous year's goals and objectives, because these are pretty standard goals and objectives. So what we're really looking for is for the board to adopt these today. Obviously, you can make any changes if you wanted to. And then again, you're authorizing your chair to sign off on those, and then they become public.
Just did this. I remember being confused. What is this? And we voted, and they said, no, this is a new law, and we just have to adopt this. We'll do the checkboxes later. I said, oh, okay.
Checkboxes happen in December, and usually, and what you do this December is for fiscal year 2025. And what we're approving today is for fiscal year 2026, basically.
Okay, so we probably as a group approved the checklist that we're going to check in December.
December.
And now we're doing one for.
Basically for the next year, or for this year. Right.
I go as part of like a role, like, does someone needs to say, did we actually do these things, and monitor it, like, and not be like,
Yeah.
I mean, they seem pretty basic. Let's call it like 4 meetings. We know that's on, but there could be an opportunity to use that as a bad example.
So
Where we have like a month ago, we didn't do 3 meetings, like someone has to watch, like, and benchmark as we go.
I'm your guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. If we've only had 2 meetings and it's November, I'm gonna say, guys, we're having 2 more meetings. In fact, we might have 2 in December. But I'll monitor all of this. I'll make sure, and then that way I can confidently tell you at the end of the year, hey guys, we hit all the benchmarks here. Let's check them off and state that in a public meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So we just need a motion to approve those goals and objectives.
So I'm assuming that the dates on this should be changed then to October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026.
It's interesting that you should say that, because now I'm looking and this,
I think this would be last year.
yeah, this is the last year.
Current year.
So I'm wondering if this was, and so we inherited the agenda. I'm wondering if they were putting this forth as an approval for the ones that you did adopt last year, which really shouldn't happen until December.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I know just in the last couple of meetings that we approved a checklist and, you know, the first time I'd ever seen it.
So, okay.
So,
So is this supposed to run calendar year or fiscal year?
Fiscal year, October to September. Yeah.
So then I guess why would we be marking the boxes in?
Well, that's my point, because it does, because you're right, because the dates seem to indicate 2024 to 2025. And I'm going through other district board meetings where I'm saying, hey, it's October now. We've got to adopt these again for next year. So I'll defer to district council here, but my recommendation would be just to be on the safe side, because you do have to adopt these in October. This, in the worst case scenario, this would be affirming. If you previously had adopted them, they'd be the same thing.
Yeah.
But I would recommend that you adopt these for fiscal year 2026, and I'll change the dates.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100% makes sense, yeah.
yeah, so I motion to adopt it with the date changed if necessary.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any additional discussion?
Are we sure that these are up to date and something where, I mean, they seem pretty generic.
Yeah,
I remember reading them and just, you know, I was like, this reminds me of stuff at work, but you just said.
I mean, let me also say, there's nothing on here that's something, it's not like
There's-
40 meetings a year. like-
No, there's no zingers in there. I think I have looked through these, and these are very, very.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And we will, in December, we will bring back the previous year and we will check the boxes. So we'll do that for sure. Okay, that moves us into the financial reports, which is item 6A and B. And you have basically your August to September of 2025. The approval of the check register is the first one. So I'll ask if there is a motion to approve that. Sure.
So what level of review do you guys do when you get all of these? Like we've often, board members skim through them and picked up some stuff here and there, like, oh, this is a bill. I remember during Rosetta, oh, this bill isn't even to us, it's to Summerwoods. You know, it's like, what the hell is going on here? Does somebody look at this besides us?
Yeah.
And so just like with regard to spot checking some details, I know it can be monotonous, but is the bill even to us? Is it for the right time frame? Is it already not even been paid? Like, I assume you guys.
So let me go over that real briefly. We do. And so one of my roles coming on board with Kai was to institute some SOPs, and that's in every department. And so one of the things that's been important to me, which I think is very important, is that we have a lot of quality control. And so to that means to me, not just the accountant going in and doing their work and double checking their work, but also they have a supervisor that's doing that cursory look. Also, what's most important to me, especially because my main role is I manage all of the district managers and the CDD business. And so something that I find very important is I want our district managers to be more involved. They don't have to be accountants, but they have to know how to look at the financials. And more importantly, they have to be very familiar with their districts. So we currently have all of our district managers and our field managers as well. They're basically going in, approving the invoices, reviewing the invoices. So it's not an accountant that kind of knows the district, but doesn't know as intimately that, hey, there was $1,000 pipe put in. That doesn't make sense. So we can stop those types of things, and we can review, we can find out. So we have a lot of double checks, and I think it's, in my opinion, also it's going to get better, especially in your case, because I am starting at a baseline of 0 right now with your district. So I will truly understand and learn quickly. These are the common invoices that come in. And this is your budget and your array of different line items that you have. I have a little bit of a financial background. I worked with JP Morgan for 8 years in their treasury services area. So to me, it's something that I don't want to say I enjoy it, but I feel comfortable with it, number one. And my primary thing beyond quality control type stuff is making sure that I can be ahead of the curve as far as your monthly operational budget, as well as any reserves, any fund balance, that sort of stuff. I want to be able to tell you that hey, we need to slow down, or we need to wait for these certain times, and I'll give you reasons why. Especially based on funding, tax collections, those sort of things. And again, I'm on a CDD board, so
That's what I like to do.
I completely sit on your side of the table, and I scrutinize my own, and we have Rosetta as our management company. So well, but the interesting thing, and one of the reasons why I besides professional courtesy, I don't openly advocate, hey, let's get rid of Rosetta, is because I have that opportunity to really. So I work for my current company. Yeah. I worked at Infomark for 18 years, and I've been on a board managed by Rosetta as their chair. I've been there for 7 years. So I get the full complement of seeing how everybody does it, seeing the good and the bad, and understanding where weaknesses are in each of them. So hopefully that'll help out. I think it will.
Yeah.
But you can be sure we're reviewing everything. I'm reviewing everything, because I don't want to step in here because I'm the one that'll get the grief. So
If I can add to that, we did put it in the contract as well that they're supposed to vet all the invoices.
Yep.
Okay. One issue we have, since we're talking about this.
Yep.
And I wasn't a big fan of it. Is the payment to the vendors. There are some vendors that get paid. That's how you used to. They get paid before the work is done, like the landscapers.
okay.
I don't know why or who came up with that thing. And then when they brought it up, oh, we have the time to hold the payment 30 days. I don't want it like that. Any job that needs to be done, you get paid after the job is done.
Yeah.
I know. I see it in your
Well,
face.
so yeah, that's interesting. Is it the normal maintenance contract, or it's other separate jobs?
The landscaper job. So when we have an issue with LMP,
Yeah.
they destroy the community.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, make sure the last payment is whole.
Yeah.
Sure. I said no problems. They left. We got new management, a new landscaping company. So I sent the email, hey, where we at with the last invoice? Make sure you hold it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we pay them up front.
So the only I guess asterisk I would put is it depends on how your contract is written. So as long as the contract is written, so two separate things, right? Like you have a normal maintenance contract with landscaping, ponds, and a lot of times, just because I've seen it, the landscapers are by default going to write it, pay ahead, right? You pay and then they leave and you run into that problem. If the contract is written where they're paid at the end of the month, then we can certainly do that. We can always hold that last payment, especially if we're ahead of the curve and we know there's issues, we know we're potentially leaving. Because think about it, the process for changing landscapers is minimum of 2 months, sometimes 3 months. Yeah. So we should know well ahead of time. But for any of those, we'll say special projects, the $1,000 pipes, yeah, we're going to make sure that is not paid ahead of time.
Just an example with this landscaping contract, is it our lawyer responsible for writing the contract, or is it their side?
So they typically submit and then your lawyer reviews. So that sort of thing is an important thing
You
to.
can keep that in mind. I don't know what the contract, where you got clauses you guys have on it, but I would like him to get paid after the job is done.
Yeah.
Not before the job is done.
I think the way it's drafted right now, it's you receive an invoice and the invoice isn't due for 45 days. And so the invoice covers what was done the previous month. So that allows you guys to review everything that was done. And
That's perfect.
Good.
All right.
So all this spend should be captured in ledgers. There should be terms on everything. Do we have any kind of spend reports, so we could see, for instance, I see we have all these categories and we'll see, I'll just pick one, where it says like pest control.
Mhm.
Right? Can we see the vendors that got paid on the pest control?
Yeah. So
Right, and then we chart it out to see how much our electric is all month, and then the next month and the next month, and we can see, start doing some kind of
we can
analytics on some stuff, just.
developers
roles.
we can look at and obviously this is GMS's financial reports, but a couple things. Number one, anything that we're thinking, especially if we're talking about trend type reporting, which is basically what you're talking about. I can talk with our accounting team and say, hey, look, how can we trend this out so we can see incrementally how electric is doing or whatever, even wholesale.
Or even if you just give us flat files of the data.
Yeah. Well, and we can do that as well, because so every line item that you have on your revenue and expenditure report, your main income statement, we can basically at any time blow those out for a limited period of time or for the whole year. So you can see, for example, if you have pool repairs as a line item. We can give you every journal entry at any time. We can generate that expenditure report and give you full detail. And then once you have that full detail, you might say, well, okay, gosh, I don't know what this was. And we can just grab the invoices and whatnot. So I think, you'll have to, as we go through, we'll provide you with some stuff and let me know if you want more info, if it's lacking something, and we'll get a way to get it to you.
Okay,
So
thank you.
yeah, no problem. So we're looking for a motion to approve that August to September 2025 check register.
That's beside the pipe thing, right?
Say again?
The pipe thing is not included. Pipe.
As well, so I heard about most of the pipe stuff tonight. I didn't have the detail on the ledger, whether it was paid or not. So I'm gonna have to check. I have to be honest with you.
No, it's not.
Yeah. But I'll check.
Motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second it.
All right. If there's no additional discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Then you have item 6B, which is the August 2025 balance sheet and income statements. I'll ask if there's a motion to approve that.
To approve.
Okay. Seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And then finally, they list here the August 2025 special assessment receipt schedule. Not something you really need to approve because that is what it is. The receipts that you receive,
Just go ahead. Yeah.
but if you want to approve it, we can. It's just not necessary. So that would take us to item 7.
Before we move on to that.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind if I do want to revisit the Rebecca Hathaway
Oh.
mediation request.
Okay.
So I understand that the records have not been provided to her yet. So an estimate was provided by GMS, giving her, whatever the invoiced amount was, or the estimate. So right now, she could, if we don't agree to mediate with her, she could in theory file a lawsuit for a records violation. I'm not saying you guys have violated the records laws, but in theory she could, and you guys would have to pay money to defend that lawsuit. So I think so as a first step, Andy, I think you will need to review that invoice and
Okay.
estimate and determine if you agree with the amount. Because my understanding is that the request is still pending and the records haven't been provided, and that's.
Okay.
I have a question. So we're being asked to go to mediation.
Correct, yes.
So can we just send you to represent us?
So you can send me to represent you, but you will need someone with authority to be able to settle without further
Can you
discussion.
just proxy you?
Could delegate that to me, yes. I think we should discuss that.
To be honest,
Let's
with you,
discuss it now.
personally, I'm not entertaining this at all. She wants to file a lawsuit, she can do it.
I agree 100%. The estimate to do it that I read was very reasonable. The way that price would go down is not really in the number of hours it take, but maybe the rates. I don't know if your rate ends up being cheaper than the previous attorney and your admin person is cheaper. So you can look at that.
Well, we can do a comparison. I can work with counsel and find out because we can easily validate that, yes, this price is right, or if there's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I could care less about the price. I was kind of just wishing she'd get them so she'd go away because the smoking gun she's looking for isn't there. But again, I'm not gonna tell GMS that they have to do 30 hours of labor for free.
Right.
So.
My concern is from being in mediation like that, is that, and I don't know if anyone knows, but did GMS throw them a price to discourage her from getting them? And I would feel terrible if that was the case.
And that's what.
So if we have you guys just look, like if we can have our new team look to see if that's reasonable, or, have like a third party look at it to make sure it's reasonable and it wasn't done to discourage, because I think anyone should ask for the information, but if there is a cost, there's a cost. I'm just saying,
This is
not use the cost as a discouragement.
This
and
is what
that-
doesn't
that
make
means-
sense to me, right? We can go against it, and they have nothing to do with us. The map was given by GMS. I don't even know what I'm talking about this. She can feel free to file a lawsuit. She can do whatever she wants to do. What our job as a board on our side, we do what's supposed to.
Mhm.
I give access to the admin. I give my password. They have my emails. He has his emails. Then do it.
Sure. It is, I will
do
just,
that.
we'll just,
1,000 emails to put your eyes on if you put 1 minute per email. I mean, because there's security information and it needs to be redacted, then the attorney needs to make sure it's ready and good to go. It's just simple math. I have 1,100 emails just for mine. I don't know how many he had. That's how they make it out. So yeah, go for it. Like, look at that, look it up. If you can give her a better price. If you guys want to donate all of your time and give them to her,
Up to you
give it to her
too, yeah.
tomorrow. I
Whatever
can
you
wait
want.
for her to read them and apologize to make her accusations.
Did
And William too.
did GMS ever invoice the association for that labor that they?
No,
Okay.
No, they just said that they had estimated it was gonna be 3 hours. She paid the 3 hours. But then they get her a message back and said, it took us 6.5 just to download it. We have to give you a revised estimate because of the redactions and the attorney reviews that are needed.
and just so be clear right now, the CDD board is not paying for nothing. She wants the request, she gonna pay for it. We are not paid.
So since GMS is technically an agent of the association, the board, the CDD entity would ultimately be liable if there was a record.
What would be your recommendation, that one of us go? Is that what you're recommending or suggesting?
So I think it shows good faith. The pro with accepting her invite to mediation is that it would postpone any filing of a lawsuit that she's going to do. And the mediator also might tell her that she has no claim.
You go, you wanna go?
I'll go. I mean, honestly, if it keeps everyone at bay, it postpones any kind of thing. Whether we go or not, we're on the board. It's a community member. But then I just think,
How is he, a volunteer, supposed to go mediate a cost that you guys need reimbursement for? Like, you or GMS said this is the cost.
Right.
What is the mediation? I don't understand. Can you explain that to me?
So she's claiming that the association has violated the public records sunshine law request laws, but because they have failed to provide her with a reasonable amount to access the records. And so as an agent of GMS, or since GMS is an agent of the entity, the CDD could technically be held liable if their agent did violate those laws.
So
I'm not saying they did.
So this is how we're gonna do, before I make any decision tonight.
No.
Is that a time limit for it?
I believe we have to get back to them within 10 to 20 days, but I can.
All right, so do your homework when it comes to that, specifically about how we are going to be. If there is nothing, then nobody's going, but if somebody has to go, you can contact Ron if he's willing to do it. But if you don't want to do
but
it.
right, but just to be clear, if I go, I have nothing to say. I'm just gonna go as a representative so we can avoid a lawsuit and paying tons of money to put one off, and spend and go, because there is a member of the residents and the community who's taken an action we are on the board. So I would go, but I would answer nothing. I would offer nothing as any kind of solution or anything. I don't even know the breakdown I can read the emails. Like we did not come up with the dollar amounts or anything. So I would just go as a representative of the board.
Right.
And then I would, probably request you to go and speak or something. So.
Yeah, no, we can't make any decision.
Yeah, I have
Well,
no
I mean,
way to make
the thing
it
is-
or say anything or anything.
GMS is the one that came up with
Yeah.
all of that. So,
Right.
and they're the ones that seem to put up any roadblocks.
Sure.
So yes, they were the management company for the district,
Mhm.
but it basically was all them and their decision and they're coming up with. They never consulted with the board for any of that.
Were
So
they-
they came up with all of that on their own.
I would imagine they were probably authorized to do so by the contracts, the previous management agreement. And so that's how they got that authority. And so they were able to act on behalf of the CDD because of that contract provision. But ultimately,
So
any
from,
dispute between us, the CDD and the previous management company, we would resolve. But the owner can technically pursue us both, and ultimately the CDD.
so in
Who
the
has the
same,
records now?
the records
It's
have
in the
been turned over
process,
to
yeah.
Council.
Okay.
We have,
So the
like,
question is would Kai be able to do the same capacity as GMS? One, evaluate it and then see what they come up with for anything with it. And then from that aspect as well, would they be able to represent the board with the media, with a mediation or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Since they're the ones that would be either saying yes
Right.
to that other price or no, this is the price. And again, none of the board is coming up with that. We have no knowledge of how it's calculated.
Have you guys ever come across a situation like this? Prior experience?
We have, so I will say that we have had a number of times, even, so I've been with Kai for 6 months now. And there's been already a few times where we have records requests where, we generate the cost, and a lot of the big cost is related to, of course, volume, and more importantly, redaction of information security. And so, yeah, we've been in that exact situation where we have presented, it's going to cost X dollars, and it does give people sticker shock sometimes.
So for you to do a quote on that, it's not something out of left field. You have experience with it. Your company does it.
Yeah.
You could review our situation, come up with a cost. And then I think we could use that as a baseline to see that we feel a little bit more comfortable that, yes, that GMS, even though they're no longer here, they were part, that they didn't do anything in, bad faith to prevent something. So.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes, we could do the same. I have that as my note to do that review, to speak with district council, because their rates could be different than your previous district council. And the only nuanced part to that is we have a timing issue that we literally just got directed.
Nobody can blame you guys for that. You're in the middle of transfer and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Just do us a favor. Whenever this is completed, send it to the entire board, just like GMS did, because we need to. The same thing.
So I have a comment though. And I'm going to tell you something that I was advised, and the situation that happened to me with the previous attorney that we had that I feel is related. About a year ago, going into Christmas time, I was having a conversation with GMS, your peer over there, our community manager, and he told me that that someone had expressed concern that I might approve an invoice for a holiday party, and that I should make sure I don't do that without talking to the board. So I asked him, I said, who expressed this concern? And he said, well, I can't tell you. And I said, what do you mean you can't tell me that? What if I just Freedom of Information Act requests the email? And he said, I got to talk to our attorney. So they got back to me with GIR and GMS, and they said, so we can't give you the email because the person who expressed this particular concern about you was another supervisor. And giving you that email, letting you read it, could potentially constitute a sunshine violation. So I said, well, this doesn't make any sense. But okay, I'll take your advice. But I say I'm at least entitled to know the name of the individual who wrote the email, William Hathaway. So my concern, what I'm understanding or not understanding, is if it was a legal concern for me to have one single email that he wrote about me, why are we here talking with him, even engaging in a conversation about his wife requesting thousands of my emails? And yet that's not a problem.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was his wife. He should probably excuse himself from participating in this discussion.
He at the last meeting, he had.
Well, I'm not voting on anything.
So just so you know, we're playing open cards. We know everything and everybody knows everybody, so there's nothing to hide.
Mm-hmm.
But we just want to get to the bottom of this because I'm sick and tired. So.
Well, the letters that I sent you from the specific resident, his points that he was making against me, his sources, was William and his wife. It undermined the whole ability of this board. They talk about transparency, and yet they were doing this completely through backdoor channels to diminish my reputation, as well as Rabah's, because he was mentioned by name. And I took a half an hour at a meeting to basically make this public so the rest of the board could talk about it. This was just 2 meetings ago. And obviously it's not going away. It's making it hard to do business. And then he made a statement at the last meeting, read a statement about how it was unfair that I made this information public and only gave his wife 3 minutes to shout from the audience when Jones had to be taken away by police for the disruptions. So, I mean, we got a lot of business done in a short period of time, and I'm really happy with how things are going. But this is constantly hanging over my head and the board's head. It's hard to do business. We were talking about mediation now, and this is just.
No, you know what's crazy too? Like we try it out, and it's the same. Like, William, do you know that the lawyer, when he goes to this kind of stuff, he charges, right? He's not going for free. He charges the community. You know that?
Yeah.
All right, and you're good with it.
And
It's
yet
no
you
different than
criticize-
any other homeowner who wants to submit
and then
something.
you criticize the HOA for wasting money on attorneys. You're such a hypocrite.
All right, let's keep moving business, please. All right, will you, do what you gotta do, stay in touch.
We'll look at the price. Yep, absolutely. Okay, so anything else? on that?
That's it.
Okay, fair enough. So we were at the supervisor requests and general audience comments. We'll get our supervisor request first, if that's okay. We can start at this end of the table if you have any additional requests for the evening. Sir?
No, one thing,
Yes, sir.
I saw the guys are fixing the pump today, like, he's gonna be my guy. All my business is gonna be with him.
There you go.
So they're fixing the pump, the entry pump.
Fountain?
The fountain, yeah. And I was talking to the guy what we should do to prevent, because it's not cheap every time it gets flooded like that. We're talking about like $2,100 to replace the thing. He said all it costs to have a backup battery, couple $100. So if he can get in touch with them, they give us a proposal for it. That's something, spend $200-300 to prevent you spending $2,100 every time the thing goes bad, So,
What's the actual issue?
so something, it was an
I'll give
outlet,
them the report. There's an actual report.
but I'm just to give you a break. There's an outlet that got tripped when it was raining. So we killed the power for the entire fountain tank.
So is water going through that line and has to be replaced?
They got flooded. So the pump got burned. but
Can
if
we
you have a
raise-
vac-
Can we raise it like with conduit and get it out of the,
See, what got flooded itself into the pump.
oh,
So what he's talking about, having a backup battery system, whatever, if you lose power, the battery is going, suck the water out, so you won't have that issue. Get
can
it,
you send me all the documents on that?
so it's the, what's the name about it? But I forget your name, I'm really, Andy,
Yes.
it's the same vendor that does the pool, HO2.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's the,
So, yeah.
Yeah, which we use right down the road. Yeah.
so,
And then.
Huh?
Get where.
we just hired, so I really know anybody over it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
So the proposal that I approved between meetings was to get it to a point where they would be able to ascertain if there was any additional damage, which they believe it probably would be, but they couldn't even determine it until they did something. So we paid them to do X. We have a scope for that, and we're waiting to hear it. So just if you can touch base with them and get yourself a prize on that.
Sometimes you gotta start at A to get to B and.
And that's the whole waterfall with lights. It's really beautiful when it's working. So yeah, my request is just to make sure, board, so these two things that were provided by Andy were two types of issue tracking templates that you can use. One is a spreadsheet. And, you can see all the updates he's put in there. And one is more of like a list thing.
Yeah, it's
So
database.
I'm gonna pick which one we like. I like the spreadsheet myself.
That's fine. Spreadsheet? Okay.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
So, I mean, I can give you this Excel. Well, I think I sent it to you.
I've got it.
So.
Yep. I have it. So we'll basically migrate that over,
Yeah.
add new stuff and keep it updated. That's no problem.
Excuse me, can you just list urgency,
Oh, on those items. Yeah.
like priorities? So.
Yeah, on the existing.
The ones that are more urgent in your eyes.
So if you can, when you make that, right, can you make it shareable and give us, let's say, edit authority? I mean, we could add a comment to it or something in a certain column.
Well, so we do have to be careful of that because you could add factual stuff, but if we get outside of factual, then at least potentially because we're sharing it, we would be sharing thoughts of the supervisor.
Okay, good. That makes sense. So I guess
But if you look at it,
I'm just worried about prioritizing it so that we could do that in the next meeting, I guess.
we can always touch base on that. Yeah. And I'll get a good feel for priorities as well. And Gary will let me know also. So
It's simple, this.
Yeah.
You can communicate, that's what matters.
my goal is that the project list doesn't become anything overbearing because we're going to work through and make it minimal. We're just going to stay on top of stuff. So objective based, that's what I'm about.
Ready to adjourn, right?
What's that?
Ready to adjourn?
We were going to take audience.
Okay, right. So I was gonna say, before we even get to that point, I just want to say this is so promising, you guys. The way you run the meeting, communication, the just no nonsense. We got it. Like, it's fantastic.
I appreciate that. So, just keep giving that feedback and we'll keep, if we have to redirect, we will. So, okay, audience comments, just like earlier, 3 minutes if you can, and I'll look to see.
Quick question.
Can you state your name? Thank you.
On those goals and objectives, who developed those?
So let's take all comments if we can, and then I'll answer that at the end. Did you have any other comments though?
Yeah, make sure you solve this issue that's in this background.
Okay.
It's not working. That's it.
Thank you. Ma'am? Okay, and we do have a couple folks on the Teams call. So I'll ask if we have any questions from the Teams call. Okay, and not hearing any, so going right to your question. So the goals and objectives, generally speaking, and I wasn't here when these were developed, but typically they're usually put together as a suggestion from either the district manager or district council, sometimes the combination of the two. And again, what the primary goal is, it's a state requirement, right? And we want to make them obtainable and pretty straightforward, because the last thing we want to do is have the board and the district having to work towards some sort of arbitrary metric that the state forces on them, because we want them to focus on business for the district. So a lot of times, I've managed 75 different districts. These goals are generally, they're things that you're doing, and we're making sure that since it's part of our task on a monthly basis, that we're doing them appropriately. That's why you see in a lot of these, you're going to see stuff about holding meetings and in the public forum. You're going to see things about producing financials and metrics associated with financials, because it's the things that we need to do. It's fundamental. And so usually, and it's attainable, because it's part of our job as the management company, really, to make sure that those are being accomplished.
Sounds like whoever came up with this work for the Department of Education.
Yeah, could be. Could be, yeah. The interesting thing about it is that, the legislature put this down on CDD is, hey, you guys have to develop goals, and you better, not only report on them, but you're going to report up to us, but yet they don't have any of the same thing for their legislative bodies. Just an interesting side note.
Somebody like trying to make say, hey, we're doing something.
Yeah. And I'll add the caveat, the board and the district always has the opportunity to change those goals to anything they want. And I've had some boards that said, and they set lofty goals. And I always tell them, you can still have all those lofty goals, but the ones you report on, let's make sure that we're going to obtain them. There's no, I'll defer to the attorney, but I don't believe there's any formal punishment or reprimand or anything, but we'd like to obtain them. So.
Good idea too.
Exactly. All right. So we are looking for a motion to adjourn.
I think somebody said there was somebody on Teams that had their hand raised. Are they?
I see a hand raised now. Yes. Yes. Go ahead, James. James, I see your hand raised. Let me see. I see that you're on mute. All right. Oh, no, James, can you hear us?
Go on.
Yeah. Hello, James.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go right ahead.
Very good. My name is Jim Caseman. I'm a resident of Alzette Bayview, and I'm also a licensed attorney in Florida. I want to address the issue regarding the FOIA request by the resident, and it's my belief after reviewing it that the district has violated that resident's record request. Specifically, a couple things under my research, and the attorney can review this. The district is only allowed to charge her the actual cost of duplication of the records. Florida courts and the Attorney General opinions have consistently held that an agency cannot charge the requester for attorney review time related to screening, redacting, or determining applicability of exemptions. Those legal review costs are considered part of the agency's obligation to comply with the public records law, not an expense to be shifted to the requester. So despite what a couple of these supervisors have said and, you know, what GMS did with the resident, I think they violated her records request. And the additional thing is, you know, it's important to note is GMS charged her $80 an hour for the time. All the CDD and any other government agency, whether it's a city, a county, or a special district, all they can do is charge for duplication costs. And if they do charge for someone's time, they can only charge for that person's actual out-of-pocket costs, not increase it to $80 an hour. So I think the new attorney for this district has to review that and should go to mediation with it, or maybe Kai, the new management company, can come up and review the disclosure laws in Florida. So that's the only thing I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, now we are at the point of adjournment. If anybody would like to make a motion.
I motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
And with that, Ryan, the letter, right?